systems. But in this one, it's very much a quick run through of all the feature sets as a taster and to get you all excited about what Sitecore can do from a content editor point of view. So I'm very much approaching this as an editor, someone who's got to create some content, and then when they've created the content, they obviously want to see who's been visiting it and maybe adapt the content to make it even more exciting for people, and then maybe they want to distribute the content, send out an email, see who comes back to look at the page, and then maybe do something else to them afterwards, maybe put it in a CRM system or something like that. So what I have here on the screen, bringing into the screen now, is our own website. So all the demo will be done on the current website, and we should have some pages which I can use and bring in where I'm not affecting what should be our window to everyone in the world. I'll just be using some demo pages, but it is actually our live site, so all the feature set you will see is absolutely things that we do every day. And it's not just a PowerPoint product. Sitecore is very much in live and running, and this is what we're doing with it ourselves as a good demo and to prove it really can be done. So if I was going to log into Sitecore, then what I will do, I will just show you where that is. Everyone gets their own username for good security, and then everyone can have their own roles within Sitecore. So maybe some people can edit some content on a page, and some people can send emails. Other people are allowed to look at analytics, and maybe some people can create content, but they're not allowed to publish any content. But what they can do is ask other people to publish the content for them using workflows, which we can also configure in the system. So totally flexible and very good for organizations where there are a number of people who are responsible for content, and maybe all around the world as well. So what I will do is log into the Sitecore desktop, which is called the desktop because it looks just like the old Windows desktop, been a bit superseded by Metro look and Windows 8, but this is still very much the way forward for Sitecore, although they have in Sitecore version 8 put a new Metro interface on top. But this is the desktop, which is where you can access all the features in our current version. And then I would go in, if I was going to create some content, into the content editor, and there you have a website. And indeed, if you look at the items within the website, about, cases, services, careers, blog, contact, they very much match what you see on the screen here. So we can just navigate through the items, go down through careers or maybe services, and you will see that that very much matches what you see when you click through, maybe down into careers, situations vacant. So you have a very hierarchical tree structure. We can put in things like breadcrumbs to make it easier for people to navigate. And what that also means is that when you see the structure in Sitecore, that can very much start telling you what the URL structure is going to be. And the reason I'm doing that now is because I know I should look under Home, Demo, Demo page. So if I was going to show that, because that's where we can start showing some content editing, so that would be Demo and then Demo page. There I get my demo page. So I could use the tree structure to actually predict what the URL for the page was going to be. And here you'll see that we have just the menu, which is the same for all the pages, and we have a common footer. And in between it, we can have the content, which is to do with the page, and this is a demo page and some imagery. And I've also added a case studies widget and a form as well. And all of this can be done by the content team, which is part of the joy of Sitecore, is the developers set it all up, but then they take a step back and do start developing all the new features, and the content team, the marketing team take over and start looking at the visitors to the page and say, well, we don't seem to get many people reading that case study, maybe I should change it for another one. Or maybe I should run an A/B test to show two different case studies to different people and see which one is most effective. And that's what we'll start going into now, to show you how when we create simple content, how we can then manage that. So this is the page on the live site, and this, I go to the same page in the content editor, and this is the ability to navigate through the tree. And then I have a lot of fields, which these are completely bespoke for each website we build. On ours, we decided that maybe landing pages, we should be able to hide them from navigation and then choose that they would be in the menu structures. And there's the image. When I chose the image, you go out and you can browse the media library, and the media library is an uploaded set of images, PDFs, whatever, and those you can just navigate through and then choose different images as you want to. So creating content, uploading images, if I wanted to say, well, I don't have the image but it's on my PC, then you upload it. You can even set it up with drag and drop, so you just drag from your PC desktop into Sitecore. Very, very simple. I know I've got a lot to cover here, so I'm going to be whistling through it at a fair old pace. The idea being that then you can ask questions later, note them down, or we can go into detail in another user story. But I know that we've just got quite a lot to do. And for many of you, I know you already understand CMS, and indeed some of you understand Sitecore. So this might be just teaching you the really basic stuff, but it's worth covering. So that's how I could choose an image for my page, and I had some body text. Sitecore allows you to have a full WYSIWYG with as many bells and whistles as you want to have. Do you want to make it bold? Do you want to have tables? Do you want indents, bullet points, adding in pictures, adding in hyperlinks? All of that is completely possible. You can even control what the editors can do to make it stay within the bounds of what your company's website should look like by making them only be able to use certain style sheets and various certain font types. So you can still control, even though you're giving them WYSIWYG access, you can still control what they can and can't do, so that they don't go and make everything Tahoma font 42 bright red with a yellow background, which wouldn't fit the corporate image of Codehouse. So that's basically creating a bit of content, and we have all the various bits. Should it be indexed? Should it be followed? No index, no follow. This is a demo page. I don't want it to appear in Google. So that's my basically making my content page in the content management system. Sitecore actually has a really nice feature once you've done the basic content to be able to look at it in a page editor mode, and that is, what does the page look like, but you've still got the editor mode up, so you could say this is a really great demo page, or maybe I don't like that image and I can change it out with a different image. So you see, I could modify its appearance, or I could actually just go click on that and I get exactly the same interface, so the ability to browse the media library as I saw in the content editor experience, but in the page editor I just click on the image and it brings up the same thing to me. Really, really simple to do. So that's, you can still create your page as you see it, and then you would go in and save it and hit the preview button, and before you have to publish, you don't have to publish it then say, oh, I didn't want that, and unpublish it. This is preview mode, so this isn't out on the live site. So this is a really great demo page. The live site, I'll bring it in there, is still saying this is a demo page. So very much the ability of what's called a sandbox environment or a preview environment. But maybe I think, well, okay, I've got a widget here, but it's not the most exciting widget. I'm going to add another one. So I go back to my edit mode. So I go back to my edit mode, and then I can go in and do what's called adding a component, or what we call modules. So now, anywhere in the page, it says add to here, and I could say, well, actually I want to add something above the case study. Whenever I get a pop-up, it appears in a separate window because I've got a multi-screened PC environment here, so I'm just having to drag them back in from out of your window shot. And there, I know I've already got a case study, so I don't want that, but maybe I want to add the contact widget. to encourage people to just get in touch straight away. And this is a pre-prepared, using the same content editor that we saw with that tree structure, but it's just a pre-prepared block of content which I can then add into the page. So I'm going to go and do that now. I've got lots of different types, maybe a video carousel or a social widgets, some more sub-navigation, but I'm going to select that one. And then, as you see, the screen refreshes, and there it is, ready for people to use. And then, of course, I would go save and preview, and I would say that's what the page looks like there. It's not the prettiest because I'm just throwing things onto a page just to show the concepts. But now I have my image, my text I changed, and I have a new widget there. And maybe I've got my case study and my demo form, and I can go back and you'll see them there. And of course, even though it's a widget on this page, so it's coming from a different bit of content, I can still edit whatever I want to do, and I can use the blue arrows to select the whole widget, and maybe I want to delete it, or maybe I want to move it. Maybe I say actually the content widget should be under the case study. So I could click on it, and then it's got a little grey ring around it, and you can choose to move it to different points. So maybe I'll move it here. And now, by auto magic, my contact form is now under my case study form. So it's as simple as that, which really is a big positive for content editors, that they get a set of base designs and layouts and modules, components they can add to the page, and then they decide how the page is laid out. So you can think that maybe you can have 3-column layouts, or 2-column, or full width. Excuse me. So you can just keep allowing the editors to basically design and build their new pages based on all the different components. So actually, once you've built these, you find that you don't get many calls back for new types, because if you've made it flexible enough, then absolutely people can make their own pages however they want to make them. Maybe I don't want a demo form here, so I can remove that component and take it away. So actually I'll remove the other component, I'll remove the Contact Us component. So that's the idea of having content within a page and being able to use the page editor to add to the page to make it more exciting. Some other things we can do, if I click Edit again, is, as I mentioned earlier, I can say, well, we're not sure whether this case study is the most exciting, or whether there is another case study that would be more exciting for people. So what you can do is you can go in and test the component, and it brings up a simple tool to say you're going to run an A/B test. So you're going to show 2 different pieces of content within the square block, and which ones do you want? Well, of course you need to have some variations. So let's say we'll call that one Lillettes, and run the case study on it, so the Lillettes case study, and then a new one which will be SJB, and maybe then that's going to be, and clicking out, just like you do for an image, you click out and find where the SJB one is. It doesn't matter, I'll take the David Lloyd one and rename that to David Lloyd. So now I actually have 2 components, and click OK. And now it's saying, well, when someone comes to your really great demo page, Sitecore is going to show Lillettes for half of them, and click on DLL, and you see it changes the content to David Lloyd for the other half. And the more astute or the quicker of you will have noticed that there were actually an option here to say, well, which one should be the winner? Should it be based on engagement value, or a goal, or just the fact that people click through? Now, in the old days, that's all you measured, was the click-through rate. you gave them two tests, maybe a green button and a red button, and your success was based on more people clicked on a red button. With Sitecore, you can be much more specific and say, we're creating a page because we want people to go and download a white paper. Therefore, if we put a goal on that download and count those goals, we can see which of those two case studies was actually the best for getting that goal to trigger. And the final one at the top is the idea of engagement value, which is on all of the goals, did they purchase something? Did they watch a video? Did they go to that page? Did they open an email? We can add engagement value goals. And within that goal, we can put a specific value on it, which isn't a pound value or a rupiah value. It's more this is 10 points, this is half as effective, 5 points. Excuse me, I've got a terrible cough and cold, so I'm going to have to put it on mute while I cough occasionally. So I'm drinking tea as well. So that's the idea of goals. So I will come into goals next to show you what that means. But goals is basically like you do in Google Analytics. You set goals. You want to measure people doing things on the site. So I'll show you how to do that. So I might just say OK to that and leave that and say save. So I've created a demo page and it's now got some A/B testing on it. And suddenly this has said there's one test running. I've got a component with a variation and there's no visits per day because we haven't started it. And if I wanted this to go live, I would hit the start test, run it for a month, hit the stop test, see the report. It would tell me that more people have seen things through the lilets than the DLL, therefore let's keep the lilets on the page. So you could do this for all sorts of buttons, text in the header maybe. Is this text more exciting than the other text? Does it encourage people to buy? So you can really test anything on your page as simple as that. And the big winner here is there was no IT involvement. I just went and did it because I thought it was a good idea. That's really popular with marketing teams. So that's the idea of creating pages, and I'll come back and we'll personalize something on this page a little bit later on. But now I've created my page, and what I could do then is maybe I want to publish it. So there are a number of different ways of doing a publish. Sitecore, like Windows, always has 4 or 5 different ways to do something, but the simple way maybe is just to go and publish the current item. And it runs me through a little wizard. So do I want to publish everything again or just do a smart publish? Obviously quicker to do a simple smart publish, and away it goes and finishes and publishes things as it goes along. And of course, if I bring in my page from the live site, this is now a really great demo page. So that was as simple as it becomes. You go in, find a bit of content, or indeed if I wanted a new demo page, I could go here and on my demo folder say insert, and then I could add a new page, simple as that, and add a new page and then go and edit that page. No different at all. So it's simple as going to the content tree, finding your content, and then you've got a choice. You can either fill out the fields here like we did before, or we go to the page editor, or we go to preview to see what it would look like if we published it. And then I hit the publish button as well. Out of the box, Sitecore gives you the ability to publish at different dates. So we could say we want it to actually, I've created it, it's all set up, I'm really happy with it, and it should go live on the 1st of March or something like that. So really, really simple. And again, it's the content team controlling all of this. So that's content editing, as simple as you like. There are actually 3 versions of this. So if I was completely happy with this text now and this was live on the site, I could actually go and add a new version, and I'll do that straight away. So it creates version 4, which I'm now working on, and basically it's saying to me that the live version is version 3. But I can then say this is a demo page for publishing in March. So it's excuse the the typos, can't be bothered in the interest of time. We'll keep moving forward. So I could then maybe go in and make some something simple like that, play around with it. Happy Easter. And all the time I'm working on version 4, and the version out on the live site is version 3. Once I've done my Happy Easter version and I save it, what I could do is then go and use, oh, not that one, sorry, I could use these publishing rules to say that actually we want, I can clear the dates in these from previous, and then I could say actually I want version 4 to go live at the end of March, just coming up to Easter, and let's say make that happen at 1 o'clock in the morning. And now I've got some publishing restrictions set up to say that this will change from version 3 to the Happy Easter version 4 sometime just before Easter, 31st of March. So that's a really nice feature as well. So publishing restrictions, the idea of when you change something, it's actually going to create a new version for you. And then you go away and choose, do I want to publish it straight away, or do I want to publish it now, or change it to publish in the future. It's that simple. So that, in the space of 20 minutes, is all about Sitecore content editing. Log into Sitecore, navigate the tree, right click to create a new item or edit an existing, go into the page editor, as I'll do it here. Have a look at what you've got. Maybe you don't like the image, you can go and change it in the page editor. If you don't like the text, you can add to it. You can play around with all of these details. You can set up testing on it. It's that simple. So that for me is content editing. Is there, just to give me a chance to catch a breath and have a little drink, is there any questions around the standard content features, or indeed anything, because I may come to it when I start talking the digital marketing suite with goals and campaigns and personalization, but anything about Sitecore content editing?
Yeah, I have a question on the layouts, right? So is it possible for a content author to, swap the layouts? So maybe today it's a 2-column layout, and then tomorrow can he have like a 3-column layout with this, without going and copying and pasting the content or creating a fresh page?
Yes, you can. These pages are not set up with the ability to change between 2 and 3 because this is our standard layout. But absolutely, where we've gone in here and added components, you could say that there was the level behind. You could go here and decide that you want to change it from a 3-column to a 2-column or to a 1-column. So yes, you can do that.
All right. And these layouts are basically tied to the content type, correct?
Yes, the layouts are related to the content. The content types are, in Sitecore speak, what are called templates, and the template is this database style of what fields you have. Within a template type, you associate layouts and sub-layouts, and then you allow the editor to actually change the presentation settings. I can show you that here, that wherever an editor has gone in and added some components, he's actually changed the presentation settings, which is, would it be a 2-column or a 1-column or a whatever. So when it's born, the item will have a particular layout based on its default template type and its default layout. But then in Sitecore, as of version 6 onwards, you can go in and override that and change the presentation settings.
And you mentioned something about a sub-layout. What exactly is a sub-layout?
Ooh, now we're getting into deep technical, and that's where Chaturanga and Klaus and people like that. You have to remember I'm in sales, so and for the interests of the people there who aren't so technical, there we probably want to save that for a more technical discussion and get the guys to help out on that. But basically, as far as I understand it, the sub-layouts are just the standard things you get in .NET, where you put sub-layout user controls onto the standard page. Maybe Klaus could help with that one.
I mean, a CX file.
Oh, all right, it's okay. It's like basically a user control you drop into a page.
Exactly.
All right.
But it's a defined column and that's usable.
Okay.
Very succinct answer there. Good. All right, so now we've created our page, which is pretty much what any CMS could do. You could do that in WordPress, but maybe you don't get quite the cool page editor functions you get. But that we haven't done much more than content management. But let's work around the idea of what the Sitecore does, which really separates it from a WordPress or Umbraco or one of the other Kenticos of this world. This is where it gets a bit more exciting. So within the desktop, I have what's called the Marketing Center, which I'll open up. And it's here, the marketing team, not the developers. We still don't need the developers yet. We've assumed they've built the site for us. But the marketing team go in and say, well, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to run a campaign. And a simple example of a campaign is we maybe have an AdWord for Umbraco versus Sitecore out on Google. So we create that in Google AdWords, and that has a URL pointing to a page on our site where we talk about Umbraco versus Sitecore, and we want to know people who come to that page, have they just found it by luck or by organic search, or have they indeed clicked on the paid search, because that costs us money, and therefore we want to know, is it worth having that advert, because what do people do at the end? Do they just click on it, land, oh, it's not for me, rubbish advert, and bounce, or do they actually come through and ring us up and say, hey, we'd love to get some help from you guys? So same as everything else, UTM style campaign link. So when someone comes through the AdWord Umbraco versus Sitecore with Google, they actually have this link appended to their URL, and that means when they land on the page, Sitecore goes, oh, okay, this is a person coming on that AdWords campaign. They're not just coming because they've found this through natural navigation on our website. Everything they do after that, whether it's download a white paper, send us an email, watch a video, that can actually be tracked back to this campaign. So we can look at the campaign and say, well, what are people doing, and is it worth it for us? Do they actually do anything of value? Your next question then is, well, what's value? And that's where, well, okay, if we get people all coming in on campaigns, press landing pages, press releases, social, when we tweet, when we Google+, we put a code on it, so we can track back and say more people who use LinkedIn do things of value on our site than people who just do Twitter. Twitter visitors don't seem to do anything. So we could maybe say, well, let's not bother tweeting then, or cut down on our tweets and put it more onto LinkedIn, because that seems to generate more value. So value, well, if people come in on a campaign, they would generally finish up on our site completing a goal, we hope. And that could be they click on an email link, or maybe they fill out a form asking for help with Umbraco, or they fill out a quick contact form, or the job inquiry form, or just our universal contact us form. So what they're doing there is we're trying to say, well, okay, so let's put a goal for the PDF download. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. You'll see that the Windows desktop there actually looks and works just like the desktop. So I can click on the content editor, maximizes that window. It's only one browser, but I've got lots of windows open in the desktop. But here's the PDF download, and we've said a PDF download is 10 engagement value points, EVPs, Sitecore call them. Whereas someone filling out the quick contact form, we say that's 25 EVPs, engagement value points, because downloading a PDF, yeah, everyone does that. You go to visit a site, you see something of interest, you download the PDF. But maybe if you're filling out a form, that takes a bit more time, it shows a bit more engagement, therefore we give it more points. And so if you're saying, of all the visitors to our site, who is the most interested in our site? Well, it's probably people who have got a higher cumulative score of engagement value points. So if someone did the PDF download twice, that's 20 points, then they filled this out, they'd be 45 points. That's quite useful to know later on, because we can set up rules to decide what do we do with these visitors based on their engagement value points. So maybe we want to, people who fill out a form, we want to put it into the CRM system. But then the sales guys ring up and say, hey, everyone filling out forms coming into our sales system, we ring them up and they're just students who are doing it for PhD research. We don't want to ring them. So you could say, well, okay, let's not do anything until they get to 100 points, then we'll put it in the sales system for the sales guy, because they might have done more things that show them that they're interested. Playing a video on our site, if you come to our site and you play a video, in the background you will get 40 engagement value points. Of course, we don't know who you are until you fill out a form, but it's good, it'll still be tracked. We'll know when you leave the site, you come back again, we'll know all of this, which is in analytics. I'm coming to that. But we're trying to just basically score people coming to the site. And so they come to the site through campaigns and they leave the site, or as they're going through the site, they score goals. So that's why you have these two in the Sitecore Marketing Center. And of course, campaigns can then be rated on how many goals and how do you quantify the goals, rather than just saying they did these goals. You could say there are value points associated with all these goals, therefore you could actually put a real quantitative value to say this campaign was worth 1,000 engagement points, this other campaign was only worth 200 engagement points, so let's go with the one that seems to be getting more engagement generated. Goals and campaigns. And then we saw that how do you put the goals and campaigns on? Well, you put those question mark strings on a URL. If I go to a piece of content, such as our demo page, I could actually then go in and I could create a goal saying demo page landed on, but landing on pages, you'd end up scoring a lot of goals. So we generally don't. We like to do it on something that's a bit more than just browsing the website. But I could put in a campaign here and say that people have, if they land on this, then they are indeed running a campaign. So just click that attributes, and here a campaign. So I could have a campaign called demo campaign, and then I don't need to use a UTM on people coming. Just anyone who lands on that page would kick off the campaign. Why would you do that? Well, maybe you've got a TV ad running, and this is our really great TV ad, and on the TV ads people say visit codehousegroup.com/TV summer, or something like that. Then of course they would just go in and type the URL in. They wouldn't be following a link, but you can still have a campaign. They would land on this page. Generally you couldn't find it because it wouldn't be in any navigation. It would just be anyone coming here came here because they watched the TV advert, and therefore kick off the campaign. Then any goals they score, you know it's because of your TV campaign. So that's campaigns and goals. What we can also do is we can say, well, our page about, if I go and have a look at it again, let's go into preview. So this page is a demo page, and it's interesting for people who are interested in Sitecore, because this is an invitation to get on Sitecore. So what you want to do is to say, well, okay, if someone visits this page about, then we assume that they are interested in Sitecore because they're visiting a page that's all about a Sitecore demo. So what you would do is you would go to the profile cards and you would say, well, actually, this has been set up for a previous demo that I did, so recruitment, but you'd probably say, well, no, their interest area is more likely to be about having a new build done, and their technology choice is most likely to be about Sitecore. So because this page where we've done this demo page is all about come for a Sitecore demo, then we'd say, well, okay, people who are coming there, let's assume that they're interested in Sitecore. So it gets the Sitecore logo. The interest area I double clicked, I should have just clicked it once like that and then said OK. So we're now saying that this demo page, I can just bring it in here, this really great demo page is about inviting people to get a demo about Sitecore, about how we can build you a really cracking Sitecore site. So when people come to that page, we're putting a marker on the visitor to say, well, okay, let's assume they're interested in Sitecore. That's a fair assumption. Let's assume they're interested in a new build. That's a fair assumption. So we are setting it up to say that they are now Sitecore interested and interested in a new build, someone building them a website in Sitecore. And you save that. What that means is when people actually come to the site, then we are going to be putting that person who's visiting in their profile and saying, okay, we score them for interested in Sitecore. That's another rule we can use in personalization. So then if they start looking and go, oh, case studies or oh, services, we can start promoting with these widgets more and more case studies that are Sitecore related, to just keep telling them that we are the Sitecore experts. Everything they look at would be personalized. Maybe we'd change the image to be an image of Sitecore, because now instead of a generic page on our site, so if you start navigating around, you go to About Us, maybe we could change this image, because the visitor has come from that profiled page about Sitecore, we could change the image to be something about Codehouse, this is us winning our Sitecore awards. So everything they do on the site as they navigate around would be then, maybe they'd go to the blog and we'd actually start listing everything that we've blogged about Sitecore. So you make the pages more and more interesting to people, because we know that they, or we don't know, but we're assuming they're interested in Sitecore because they went to a Sitecore page. You can't, of course, bet the farm on it. I wouldn't put your whole business on because they saw a Sitecore page. They might have got there by mistake. But it's a fun thing to do. And, for example, Monarch, who are the airline that we've done some Sitecore work with, if you go and start looking at skiing holidays, then they assume the person's interested in skiing holidays. Therefore, the pages change to show people having fun on the ski slopes, and the adverts start advertising more ski holidays, because if someone goes in on a search term for ski and then starts looking at ski pages, we can assume they're looking for a ski holiday. So why not show them some nice promotions around skiing? If I go back to my demo page there. So how would we do that? And now I can introduce the idea of personalization in here as well. So we've got profiling on this. People come here, we assume they're interested in Sitecore. Maybe we want to then use some personalization based on the fact that we know the visitor is interested in Sitecore. So maybe we should go and, probably not interested in editing this one because they're already on this page, but let's go and find another page to edit which might have a widget on it. So I'm going to navigate through the site and let's have a look, see if I can find something that might have a widget on it, and go to the page editor. Okay, this one is a page. We don't have any widgets on it at the moment, but let's go and do a widget based on the fact that the person has landed on the demo page around a Sitecore demo, and we said, okay, they're probably interested in Sitecore. Let's show them a Sitecore case study on this page to make it more exciting. So we hit the component button, and let's go and put it in the bottom right here. And then it pops up and says, okay, you want to add a component? I'm going to add a case study widget. Select that. It then pops up and says, well, what case study do you want to add? And let's add the Monarch one, because that shows that's a site we built for an airline, as I said, where we used a lot of personalization. So there's a good story there. So I say OK. And we could then talk about personalizing the component. So we could say, well, okay, out of the box, it's for Sitecore people, but maybe we've got other pages which are much more about Umbraco, the other .NET CMS we do quite a bit of work for. So let's show this for the Sitecore people because they're on the page, and let's show something different for Umbraco people. So what we can do is create a new condition, and we'll call that Umbraco interest. And what we should do is we use the rules engine, and this is the first time you'll have seen this, but it's a long list out of the box of personalization rules and actions we can do to say that okay, if people are coming from a country, then show them a different bit of content. What we were interested in, the example I was using, is the profiles and patterns where the current visit matches a specific pattern card in a profile, because we were saying that I have to set the profile first, and we had a profile called technology choice, and we'd set it up on pages where the pages where we talk about Umbraco, we'd put the Umbraco stamp on it. The one I showed you was we'd put the Sitecore stamp on it, but it's the same thing. So our content is generally, it's about Sitecore or it's about Umbraco. And as people navigate and visit pages, we start saying, oh, you look like an Umbraco person, or you look like a Sitecore person. So I go in and add the personalization. If I wanted to be complete, I would then say Sitecore interest and edit that one, and go to my profile. I search with my fingers here where the specific profile again was technology choice, and where the pattern card was Sitecore, and then I'm going to show them the Monarch one. So people who come in who look like a Sitecore person would get the Monarch one, people who come in and look like an Umbraco person, and then maybe we should change the default to be something different, to maybe talk about Adva, which is another client of ours. So that way, then, as a new person comes to the page, Sitecore will say, well, have you visited any pages about Sitecore? Oh, you have. Okay, you look like a Sitecore person, therefore we'll give you the Monarch case study. Or they come to the site and they visit the page, and they visit the pages all about Umbraco. So we say, well, you look like you're interested in Umbraco. So maybe we change it to be an Umbraco case study, which would be MSI Global Alliance. So they would see an Umbraco case study, because we would be guessing, hoping that it's relevant for them because they visited lots of Umbraco pages, and they go, oh, hang on, that's about Umbraco, and click on it. Otherwise, they would get that one. So that's how you set up those personalization rules to be able to, based on visits to the pages. So that's the idea of personalization, and we saw with the personalization rules that actually that could be based on absolutely everything from clicking back on it again. If we go back into that, I didn't save it, so I didn't want to play because this is one of our live pages, but it could be on any of the rules. If I go in and show you that again, just to give you an idea, that rule set is pretty massive. We looked at profiles and patterns. I briefly mentioned what country they're coming from. It could be where their engagement value points, so the number of things they've downloaded or videos they've watched could be of interest to us. So we say that we only show them a special offer if they've really been interested in our site. If they're just coming for the first time, we don't show them a special offer. So we can tailor the discounts we give maybe to people based on how close we think they are to the buying cycle, the close at the end of the buying cycle. It could be maybe we have a login on our site. So are they anonymous or have they logged in? Did they give us a valid email address? There's lots of things we can do, and the next stage is we can actually write new rules that maybe use data that's in a customer's CRM system. So we could say, have they purchased this product? A bit like the idea of what Amazon does, but it's all out of the box here once those rules are set up. So the content team create new content items, create new widgets, and then say, well, this widget should show this text because this person is logged in, or they should show this text because this person previously bought something similar, or they've downloaded 3 white papers and 2 case studies, so we think they're interested, so we're just going to give them a 5% discount to click through to the to make a purchase. All sorts of things we can do, and it doesn't have to be now a campaign everyone gets a discount. The discount can be based on who they are, what they've done, whether they visited the site before, did they visit yesterday, or did they visit a month ago. Lots of things we can do with personalization, so it's quite good fun to play around with that, and that's the sort of thing that Monarch are doing in real time as we speak to get conversions, and it really has. Their bottom line, the money they're making, has gone up based on the fact that Sitecore is driving these conversions. Yep, I've got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to keep going. I think I lost my Wi-Fi connection, but I should be back on again. Yep. So I'm going to just show you a little bit about emails, which is another thing you can do from Sitecore. Of course, there are 1,000 email systems out there, MailChimp, Pure360, all these others. The benefits of using Sitecore is it's within the Sitecore desktop, email campaign manager, it's there. And it uses the same tools for editing content as you do to create new content on the website. So you can reduce the training time for the content editors because they can just use the same system they're always used to. So if I wanted to create a new subscription message, which is maybe a newsletter, then you click on this. I've got a demo full-width newsletter. Or you can create a one-time message. Typically that's we've got a campaign, so we've got 1,000 users in a spreadsheet or in a CSV file. You click on the one-time message and upload the CSV file. This is definitely another user group session going into the details of this, but it's certainly what Sitecore's designed for. So maybe the marketing team get 1,000 people out of an old database and they want to send them a message to say, hey guys, we haven't seen you for ages. So they would upload that into Sitecore, send the message, and then track, because it creates a campaign in Sitecore automatically, just like the ones I showed you before. Anything anyone did in that sending, it would be tracked back to that campaign, and they could say, hey, we had 5 people come back and buy something, so that was a good campaign. The one I'm going to show you is a subscription message, which is just one I've set up here. And what you get is a wizard, and I've just created this one just now. So it's a test message, and it's got recipients. So you can build your own list by importing from a CSV file, or indeed use a list that Sitecore already has. So Sitecore stores lists. They're actually, for those that know Sitecore, they're roles within the Sitecore user manager, but it's a list of people. And once you've got that, we have a demo group for demo purposes, and I can view that list, and it's one we send internally to ourselves, and then myself, Molly and Pete in the marketing department, so we can test it. If people have said to your company, oh, we don't want to hear from you ever again, you can actually have an opt-out list and upload it, and then those people, even if they're in the recipients list, they won't get the email because they're in the opt-out list. So what Sitecore is doing is saying, I'm going to send to these 20,000 people, but some of them have said they don't want to hear from us, so they're going to not get an email. And there is indeed a global opt-out list where you put the people who really never, ever, ever want to hear from you again and would go to the press if they did. And then even if the marketing department said, hey, I'm going to send to them because they must be interested. I know they've said no, but I'm going to send it anyway. The global list in the background would say, no, you're not going to send that. You're not to that one person. So there is an overall managing tool there as well. But we've got some recipients. What do we send? Well, we put a title in. Title goes here, and we have a template. And how does the template work? Well, it works exactly the same way as the Sitecore content manager interface works. So just showing you how to do that here. It's that simple. So you create your emails using exactly the same tool, even the toolbars, it's all the same, because it is just, in inverted commas, a content item in Sitecore. So you can then go in and add your text. So hello, and you can do all the things like hello Matt with using tokens which insert the right text at the right time. You can do all the personalization, all of that profiling side of things that the system has stored, because this is the website's content, and it's the website system. So if someone has been on the site, we know what they're interested in, therefore we can personalize it. So we get really nice features. We can add in new components if we wanted to, sorts of things. Typically in emails it'd be images, social widget, more text, titles. We already got one of those. So all of that is there. Then you just hit save again, and as you can see, my hello text is there. So that's the email ready to send. Built into Sitecore is all of the standard things you would expect. You don't want to receive it, you can unsubscribe. Everything that you'd want to expect from an email system. So then I close that down. That's my message. I put my title in. I've created my text. If you're using personalization, you can then go and see what it would look like if it was me looking at it, or if it was someone else. So because people have got personalization, it could be that it's based on something they bought. So you're sending a campaign to say we're running a 10% discount, and people who purchased, I don't know, skis rather than helmets would see a picture in the message of a ski rather than a helmet. So just everything you do to try and personalize it. And again, that would be done using the personalized rules. And you've seen how I did that just by clicking on that rule set, filling out the various links and fields. And then I can go in and see, and if I want to just randomly click through it, I can see what's going on. You can run A/B testing, just like I did on the item with the case study, so we could have different variants. And then once you've set up all of that, you generally want to review it, so you send it to yourself before sending to anyone else. And then maybe you want to preview it, and to run a preview check, what it's doing is it's actually going away to a service and asking that service to say, what does it look like in Outlook 2000? What does it look like in Lotus Notes? What does it look like in Google Mail, Apple Mail? I've just clicked them all here. There's actually a tool to be able to say which ones you want, so I've gone full out. I think the chances of people still using, I don't know, Lotus Notes 6.5 are pretty slim, so you'd probably just say, oh, don't bother checking that. But now it's going away, and it's not emulating, it's going to come back with a screen dump of what it looks like in those various variants. Of course, my message is pretty basic, so it should be okay. And then you can actually do a spam detect as well, so maybe we shouldn't go and do them all. Maybe we should just do a Message Labs spam detect and run the spam checker on it, and it goes away and then runs the spam checker in the background. So that's all happening in the background, and will come back and tell us. Of course, once you get those back, then you would say, well, actually, I want to dispatch it, and you could say, I'm going to dispatch it at some time in the night, quietly, so people have it in the morning, or whenever you want to. And if your site was multi-language and your users had a preference for different languages, it would actually do that. So just like it's personalizing some content, it could also personalize the language. So if you store the preference for different users, then they would get the email in their own language. Of course, you have to create the language versions in Sitecore, but that's a real selling point of Sitecore, that it handles multi-language versioning, all of that really well. Once it's all been sent, you would get the report, and if let's see how it's doing on the reviewing. There we go, it's starting to come back to tell us what it looks like in these various things. So that's what it would look like in Android, that's what it would look like in Outlook.com Explorer. Here it comes. Well, doesn't look too bad, but then again, it is a very simple email. So really nice tool for testing that. and it's still going to message labs in the queue to get spam detected. But once we've done that, you can see my 4 recipients, so there's not much more to do. You generally wait for the results before sending it, but you could then just choose to, you know what, I'm going to send it now. So always double check that, okay, I'm not sending to anyone I shouldn't do, and you can go away and say send message. Would you like to send the message now? And it's going to, I've only got English set up, so it's only going to send the English language version. That's all I created. Message dispatch has been started. 4 total recipients. It's not the biggest email list in the world, but then it will gradually go through, and for the last 5-10 minutes I can show you the one of the really cool features of Sitecore, which is come in these latest releases, which is what's called engagement plans. So, oh, there we go, it's been started. So it's working away, it's going to send those 4 emails. And if I open up the email, oh look, there you go, I've got the email into my Outlook, and it's as ugly as it ever was when I sent it, but there you go. But that's my text, everything, so it does indeed go through. And here I opened up the behavior monitor, which is a Sitecore engagement plan. Sitecore give you this out of the box. Basically, it's a thing that says if this is a big bucket of people, then you fill it up because you're sending to 4 people, and 4 would appear in message unopened. I've already opened it, so I know I'm one of the 2 people who has actually opened the message. And then if you decided to click through a link, you would go into that bucket. So you think of it as buckets with holes in the bottom, and you flow through. Did you, after you clicked it, do something that actually was of value? So did you then go on, follow a link in the email and read a white paper or watch a video? If you did, you would be in this bucket. If you didn't, you maybe just open it and then close it, you'd be in the visitor bounce bucket. Anyone who's got broken email addresses, they'd end up in these buckets. If the person didn't want to be anything to do with you anymore, they'd be in the unsubscribe bucket. So you're flowing through and being monitored to understand what's going on. And I can see that what we've got is 2 people have been in the Messenger open bucket. And maybe I go and I've got a pop-up in Firefox. So actually, I want to be able to accept edit block holes. So I can try that again. See if I can get that to. That's annoying. Should be able to. Let's show that one. There you go. So the 2 people that have opened it are myself, and you can see that I've actually had 6 visits to the site before, whereas Molly, she's opened it and she's only had 1 visit to the site before. And then you can click on and go through to the analytics part and actually see what's been going on with the site and where people are coming from. So actually, that's rather interesting. Says it's coming through Sri Lanka. But basically what we're doing there is you then click on one of the visits, and I've got some testing I did earlier on maybe. But what it's doing is then giving you the ability to follow through on what's happening on the site for these different individual visitors. So maybe you've emailed a list of customers, and you can see, well, okay, these customers have opened the email. What else have they done on our site? So you can dig down and see what's going on. Or you could maybe have, at the end of the day, you'd have a whole list of people who have unsubscribed. So you could view that, which probably won't give you a lot, but it would view it, and then you could download them to a spreadsheet and do something else and say, these people have unsubscribed, what can we do with them? But this is the idea of engagement plans. And in the last couple of minutes, I'll show you how we can take this concept of people being in buckets and flowing to different things to another level in the marketing center. Because we can do things, and a very simple example we have is the idea of lead nurturing, and this is indeed where the idea of engagement plans comes from, that maybe we get a whole load of people that visit our site, and they are just visiting the site, and maybe they fill out a form which shows some sort of interest. So they would then be in this bucket, which I've got a bucket for all those who filled out a form, and it puts them into this plan. Then we say, well, monitor all of those people. If they come back to the site, or even in the same session, do something else with engagement value points, such as watching a video or downloading a PDF, put them into a new bucket called prospects. So people who visit the site generally do one form. They're suspects. They might be interested in us, but we're not going to spend any time on them. But then they go and read a load of papers or watch a couple of videos. They go into a form called prospects, because I know, well, okay, if they're doing all of this, they're showing some interest. And then we can decide, well, okay, but I don't want to keep logging into this system to find out who's gone from one bucket to the other. So we have the idea that you can actually set a load of actions to say, well, what I'm going to do is say, so there's a new prospect, so we email an email address in Codehouse from the website to say we've got a fish on the hook here. We've got someone who's done one thing, but now they've done a load more, so we think they're interested. But this list could be anything. It could be send them an email, or we could add new rules to say send it to Salesforce, or put it in the CRM system, or anything we want. Change their profile so that they're no longer an Umbraco interested, they may be in the Sitecore interested, because the form said, I want to be told about Sitecore, and we'd always assumed they were interested in Umbraco, but maybe we changed their profile to then look like a Sitecore visitor, because they seem to have changed their mind. And this is based on fact. They filled this out, whereas before we were based on, well, you've looked at some pages. So that's the idea of engagement plans, and we can make as many and have as many different types. So we have engagement plans where we capture everyone who's been filling out our AdWords to see which AdWords are working, and indeed once they do AdWords, what come in on an AdWord, what do they do on our site? So we follow them. We don't just say, hey, you came to our site from an AdWord. We actually say, okay, then what did you do? And we can see their entire click wake. So what pages did they visit? We do that in the last 2 minutes from this whistle-stop tour of Sitecore, because all of what we've been doing until now is stored in the engagement inside the analytics system. So then I can